time to do assault rifles. So assault rifles are always king in Call of Duty. They're the most versatile weapons on the battlefield, and they're definitely some of the best guns in the game if you want to do really well. So let's go through these. Now, there are 9 assault rifles in Black Ops 2, the most out of any weapon class. So starting off here, we have the M8A1, the Scar H, the AN94, the SIG 556, the Type 25, the SA58, the SMR, the M27, and then finally the MTAR, or just the TAR as we're used to seeing it. So as you can see there, those are all the guns and all the different stats. I'll line them up in one little nice screen for you guys so you can compare them all together side by side right here. And there you have it. So obviously some stick out more than others in terms of their stats under the guns, in terms of mobility, damage, range, and accuracy. But you can't go off of those numbers. You can't go off of those in-game created class stats that are always kind of wrong in Call of Duty. What you can go off of are how they feel and how they actually work, how the recoil works, how the guns work, and things like that. And that's what I'm going to talk to you guys about today. So going through these things and my own personal opinions, my personal favorite assault rifle, the one I think is the best in Black Ops 2, is the Type 25. So this is a fully automatic assault rifle. It's got really low recoil. It's pretty much the ACR of Black Ops 2. This thing is a laser gun. It's very good. It kills quickly, and overall just I see this being the main primary gun that a lot of people use, especially in the competitive circuit and things like that. So the Type 25 is definitely one of the go-to guns in this game. Now, my next favorite weapon here is the M8A1. So this is a 4-round burst assault rifle. That's right, 4-round burst, not 3. So it's a little bit different than anything we've ever seen before, but it's got really low recoil, and it's kind of like the Type 95 of Black Ops 2. You know, in Modern Warfare 3, we got the Type 95 where it's a 3-round burst laser rifle that kills people in one burst a lot of the times. That's pretty much what the M8A1 is. So Type 25, just like the ACR. M8A1, just like the Type 95. So those are kind of the two best guns, and they kind of stick up way above the rest. Now, getting into the rest of the assault rifles, some of these can be interchanged. Some of them are pretty similar. It just depends all on your personal preference. You're going to have to try them out yourself. But some of the ones I like are the MTAR, the Scar H, and the AN94. They're all full auto. They're very solid, pretty low recoil, and they seem to do killing pretty quickly. Now, one really interesting thing about the AN94 is the first 2 rounds of this gun fire faster. So the first 2 will shoot really fast, and then the rest are a little bit slower. So if you want to do really well with this gun, what you want to do is burst fire it in rounds of 2, because that way you're going to get the fastest shooting gun possible, get as many bullets down range as possible, and kill your enemy as quickly as possible. So that's just a kind of cool little quirky thing about the AN94 that you might want to check out. Now, moving on, we have the SIG 556, and this is a 3-round burst assault rifle. It reminds me of the Call of Duty 4 M16. So, you know, obviously by saying that, that means this gun is very good. It's up there with the M8A1, but personally, I just prefer the M8A1 burst rifle over the SIG 556. But again, it's all about personal preference. You have to try it out for yourself. The SIG 556's iron sights are actually pretty good. They kind of remind me of the G36C from Modern Warfare 3. But anyway, moving on to the other 3 assault rifles that we haven't covered yet. One right here is the M27, and this is a fully automatic assault rifle. It's pretty good. It's my least favorite out of all the automatic assault rifles. I don't really know what else there is to say. I don't like it quite as much. And then the last 2 here aren't necessarily at the bottom because they're the worst, but they're at the bottom because they're different than everything else, because they are single shot weapons. So I know a lot of you guys really like single shot weapons, and they can be very dangerous in the right person's hands, but in other people's hands, they really suck. So that's why they're kind of in a different group. They're on their own there. But the SA58 is definitely the better single shot weapon than the SMR. It's semi-auto, and it's got a higher fire rate and slightly less damage, whereas the SMR has a lower fire rate and slightly more damage. So the SA58 is just, it's a lot better. It kills a lot faster. It's got a little bit less recoil. And overall, I like it a lot better. Now, one thing you can do on the SA58 and the SMR is you can put the select fire attachment on them and turn them into fully automatic weapons, which is very interesting, and they're actually pretty good. So that's something you guys might want to try out. It's a lot of fun to run around with and use, and people really don't expect it. Now, for your assault rifles, what do I recommend for your attachments and perks and things like that? Well, for attachments, there are quite a few things. Number one is the reflex sight. It's the typical red dot sight that we're used to in Call of Duty. A lot of people are going to be using that. The second one is the target finder. So this is this big sight that kind of blocks off your peripheral vision and puts some black lines around your screen. but it pretty much gives you the perk Marksman from Modern Warfare 3. So it'll highlight people as red diamonds on your screen, and it's very, very useful to pick out people across the map, and that can be really useful for assault rifles. Another thing you can use is the select fire attachment, which basically turns any burst fire or single shot weapon into a fully auto weapon, or any fully auto weapon into a burst fire weapon. So it's really interesting on how this affects different weapons, and it turns, you know, if you want to turn the Type 25 into an M16 like gun, then you can do that. So it's really interesting how you can mix that up, and you guys definitely want to fool around with that on your classes. Now you can also use some other things: suppressor, foregrip, quick draw. Those are all kind of generic attachments that really, it depends on what your playstyle is like, which gun you're using, and whether or not you like to stay off the minimap, or if you want to stay stealthy, or if you want to raise your gun up quickly, or things like that. It's really all about personal preference. Now, as for perks, there's really nothing that's crazily advantageous to use with assault rifles. It's not like there's an iron lung for snipers or anything like that. You can use whatever you want. You want to use ghost, use ghost. You want to use scavenger, use scavenger. It really doesn't matter. Now, moving on to a couple of recommended class setups for you guys. These are what I've got. So my number one here is the ultimate tryhard class. So this is going to be the Type 25 with the reflex sight and the extended clip, so you have a lot of ammo to shoot down range. The B23R pistol is your secondary. It's a 3-round burst pistol, so it's very good at long range. And then Ghost, of course, because you can be annoying as long as you stay moving. Toughness, Dead Silence, Simtex, Concussion. That is the ultimate tryhard class if you want to do really, really well. Now, moving on, if you want a little bit more of a long range class and really want to kind of shoot down range and take people out from a distance, you got the M8A1, which again is that 4-round burst assault rifle. Reflex sight is very good on this weapon, as well as quick draw to make sure you can aim down sight quickly. Cap 40 fully automatic machine pistol is your secondary, so if you want to get into some close quarters combat, you can do that and spray people down. And then as for perks, flak jacket to avoid grenades, toughness so you don't flinch too much because this is a burst fire weapon, you want to stay on target, engineers so you don't get blown up by enemy equipment, you can flank, and then Simtex and concussion ×2. And then finally, moving on, the last class I've got for you guys, this is one I was kind of recommending to you guys earlier, the SA-58, which is that single shot weapon that has a slightly higher fire rate than the other single shot, and select fire on it is really, really fun to use because it turns it into an automatic weapon if you want it to. Extended clip to have as much ammo as possible. The Executioner is your secondary because that's pretty much like a shotgun, so this SA-58 is going to cover you long range. The Executioner is going to be really, really good short. And then also hardline to earn your kill streaks faster. Toughness in order to stay on target and not flinch too much. Engineer so you don't run into equipment. Simtex and concussion. So there you have it, guys. Those are my recommendations for the assault rifles in this game. Really, the two you want to know about are the Type 25 and the M8A1. Those are the ACR and the Type 95 of Black Ops 2. Those are going to be the two main guns that are really going to be the best. Everything else is pretty mediocre. I don't really like the M27 as much, but the MTAR, the AN94, and the SCAR H are all pretty similar. The SIG 556 is another burst fire weapon if you guys want to use that, if that's kind of your thing. And then finally, the last two, the SA-58 and the SMR, are just two single shot weapons that can be really good, but can be really bad. It all depends on which hands they're in. So anyway, guys, thank you all for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you learned something new. If you want to